Hey everyone, it's Krista from Krista Irene Art, and today I wanted to do a video tutorial on how to shade in faces. So I've done a lot of video tutorials on how to draw faces, but I have had folks ask me in the comments section how I color in the faces, especially with pencils and acrylic markers. So what I'm going to be focusing on today is how I color and shade in faces using acrylic markers. I invite you to join along. You can grab your pencils, you can grab acrylic markers, you can grab paint. I'm just going to walk you through the process. So it's not a focus on drawing faces as much as it is coloring them in. I am going to just draw a few faces. And again, the focus is on coloring. So I'm just going to do 3 random faces and we're going to color them together. And I'm just drawing really loosely. Ooh, okay, let's center that so that let's get that right there. Okay, hopefully, oh, there, look, I think that works. Okay, so I've got my faces done in Sharpie, and I'm also going to do their eyes really quickly. The focus here is coloring them in and not so much the drawing of them, but just notice my lines and what I'm doing here. I'm really not caring too much because I'm going to play around with it after. And I'm just mapping in the noses and the lips because I want to make them a little bit different. So, and then the eyebrows, again, you can play with the different features, but for now, this is what I'm doing. Okay. So when you're practicing drawing faces, it's best, and painting faces, it's best to keep it simple. And just so everyone knows, because I do get comments on this, I understand that my eyes are at the edges of the face and that many times there's supposed to be another space there. I get that. But this is my style of drawing. I don't draw realism and I don't paint realism. So this is how I like to draw faces. All right, get that out of the way. So if you have your acrylic markers, whatever brand you have, usually you'll get a lot of peaches, browns, creams, different pinks, and just different colors. And I like to just try them all to see what kind of faces I create. And when you are learning to draw and paint, you really have to allow yourself the freedom to make all the mistakes and not worry too much about it. So the first thing that I like to do, a lot of times I will just pick a random color, and I usually just like play with the color on the side and be like, oh, do I like that color? No. And then I'll try different shades, like which colors do I like? Now, I like doing light to dark if I'm going to layer it on, and then go back to the light again. So I like this yellow color. I like actually all 3 of those, so I think I'm going to play with them. And normally what I personally do first is just under the eyes, I draw some cheeks. And I'm probably going to go over that, but for now, that's what it looks like. And I'm playing around. I mean, you really have to play around with your markers to see what you can do and to see how you can shade in faces. And I'm just having fun. I don't care if this is realism or not. Now, the other thing to note is if you look at faces, you have to figure out where the shadows and the whites are. There's a lot of times there's shadows over the eyes. So I might just go over her eyes. This is just the starting point. Go over her eyes. On the sides of her head, it'll be darker, usually under the lips and under the neck. And probably like that. And I really honestly, when I do this, I'm not really thinking too much about it. Sometimes I will too. I'll also go down to the nose because usually there's a shadow there too. Right? So I'll do that. Doing that with the one color here. And then I have this shade here. And I'm going to go over it again. Under the chin. This one's probably going to get a little darker. This marker is interesting because it's supposed to be a pinky shade, but it's kind of a pinky and yellow shade. And this is just me getting started. And then I have this lady here. I'm bringing the thing about acrylic markers, you can adjust as you go to the shape of the face. And so that's what I'm doing here. Bringing it down. Sides of the head are usually darker under the neck. Now it looks a little weird, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me. So I've got those colors there. And then the next thing I'm gonna do, if I'm really just playing around, I wanna do a red. So I have my red marker. I want the lips to be red. So I have the line there, and a lot of times I'll just try to make a lip. And I just do like 3 kind of circles. Like I do like an oval and bring them up together, almost like a heart. And that's how I map out their lips, and it's coming together. And then it's really a matter of playing with your different colors. I might do a darker pink, and it all depends on how many colors you have as well. So I have some different colors here. I might play with this lady a little bit. And I've got like a different color brown. And some people know all the colors, like what they're all called. I just call it brown, but what's it called? I don't even know what it's called in the art texts usually have like a little stickers and stuff you put on them, but I didn't do that. I just grab whatever I like and what I think goes with the color that I used before. And so now I'm just coming down, making a bit of a mess. I'm not really too concerned. I might map in her ears a bit. There are her ears for that lady. Now the next lady, I might think, oh, I want, I'm going to color her cheek in a bit. And so I layer it on top. Acrylic markers you can layer on top, and these Artex markers dry pretty fast, so you don't really have to worry about it. And that's all I'm doing here. Honestly, it takes a lot of practice and mistakes and frustration, if I'm being honest. That's just part of the process. You kind of have to go through it. And as much as you practice, you're always going to have some that don't quite work out or that you don't like. But I always find once I start adding different elements, it comes together. And now for this lady here, I want to get her ears in as well. And so I'm doing that, and then I'm just going over a little bit more. I think it's really fun to play with your markers and just see what you can do without beating yourself up about making mistakes. I've got a gray color now, and now I'm just playing with like this lady's eyelid and maybe adding a little shadow to the side. I think it's a good idea too to look at photos, right? And see where the shadows are in the photos and try to mimic where the shadows are. A lot of times there's shadows under the eyes. Anywhere like under the chin there's a shadow, under the nose there's a shadow that is cast, like sometimes the ears. So I like the way that lady is turning out. I play with her eye a bit more. And then really for me it's a lot of back and forth. Coloring over things and then bringing it out again. Now I might actually get my black marker with this lady and just give her a nice sort of dramatic eye and really go over that again, that lip area, and then highlight under the chin. And I'm not sure what I would do with her hair, but looks like I'm doing something here. I often do something like this with the hair. And I'm going to play with her hair later again. And then I do something usually by the neck. And that's sort of how it comes together. And so I'm not shading in faces the way that I guess other people do, just because I think when you're a self-taught artist, you really just figure things out in a weird way. Like, I've never had an actual real class, and I'm sure I'd be taught a different way, but it is what it is, and this is just how I do it, and I really like it. I like playing with the different layers. I like playing with different colors, and I like making a big old mess, and so that's what I'm doing here. And now I've got this really bright, I don't know, I might like to play with this lady and give her like a really bright neon-y cheek here. Not sure about her lips, but I might go back and fix that. But for now, I don't know, I like it. And now I'm like, oh, I want to give her flowers on her head. This is how the shading process goes for me. This is how I do it. And a lot of times I'll draw 3 faces so I can go back and forth with them. And this lady here, I see her eyes. I did that with those eyes. I might do like, let's see what I could do with her. I might give her some nice high eyebrows, but I might do the eyelashes on the bottom. I really like to play around and see what I could do versus making every single one of them the same. And now I'm bringing her chin down a bit. And I wonder if I'll just give her some curly hair. I like these ladies to have like an older, vintagey feel to them. Now I have a darker gray, and I'm going to play with this lady here. And I think she's going to have gray hair. I'll give her the shadows under the nose, under the chin, to the side, anywhere that there might be shadows cast. I'm going to give her a straighter eyebrow. And I'm just going to add some and then once I let it dry and I look at it a bit, it's like, okay, I like this lady, but this lady needs something going on here. I have a nice peachy pink for her cheeks. And you could practice going in closer to the nose, going down closer to the chin, and play around and see what you can do. That's the key to this. And I feel like my art is slightly abstracted. It's not, you know, it's meant to be different. This is just how I do it. You can do it however it works for you and however you feel like. I'm making her hair kind of blue, but then I'm going to go over it with a darker color. And this is where I like start playing around and fine-tuning things. And I feel like for this woman, I really want her to have darker lip. And sometimes I really like to bring everything together with these ladies. So I'm wondering if I should just do something with her hair here. I don't want to give her too much pink. I like to bring them in together. My cat is cleaning them. He's making a racket. Here, Bear, stop it, buddy. Okay. And now, so I've shaded their faces in the way I like. I know I'm going to play with it more, but for me, when I'm doing my art, it's more like bringing it together. So I'm trying to, I think I'm going to add some green to it. And so I'm just grabbing a green marker and I'm just trying to add some sort of green to these flowers, but nothing that is like meticulously drawing leaves or anything. And then this lady's going to be, she's bringing in the green. And I think she'll have some green here too. And so I'm just kind of bringing it together. And now I know I really would like a nicer pink for her. Like, I don't know if the pink is here. I'd really have to mix a pink together to find what I'm looking for. And I'm not going to do that. I wonder if purple would work. Just trying to make it a little bit different. And maybe there's some, I like to try to bring the colors in together to make these ladies sort of work together. And I do feel like, whoops, I feel like her eyes could be a little bit better. And that's basically how I color that's just my process. It's not, it's really more about playing and seeing what you can do, and don't take it too seriously because it's okay if you make mistakes. Once it dries, I want to add some white highlights into it and just dot into the eye, like a little reflection of the eye, and also the bottom of the lip. There we go. But I'm going to do that with each of their eyes. There we go. And this lady too. So I leave a lot of like white space or whatever in their faces. I don't color everything in. I'm just giving the look of a face, and hopefully people know that's a face. And then the next thing I do is I have a white marker. I just like to highlight the chin area, the nose area with some white, maybe over the eyes a bit. Not too much, but these are areas of highlight on a face. Sometimes it's above the eyes too, but you can always add a color there if you don't want to just use white. And then a lot of times on the neck. And then I like to sort of add a little highlight to the hair. I need to fix her flowers a bit. This lady needs some. There we go. And I like the messy look on her, so I'm gonna cut that pink a bit. And I might do that with her too. Again, bringing it all together. This is just my process for coloring the faces. Honestly, everyone has to figure out it and play and practice and figure out what works for them. It's really hard. It really just takes practice, honestly. And it also takes a willingness to fail. You have to be willing to fail. You really do. Because if you're not willing to fail, then you're afraid to make mistakes. And if you're afraid to make mistakes, you're not going to take risks. And if you don't take risks, you're not truly going to figure out what it is that you like or don't like with respect to your own personal artwork. All right. Now I would let this dry, but I want to go for a walk. Okay, so I love how that turned out, and I wanna add some sparkles, so I'm gonna add some sparkles and finish it off. Okay, so I drew it with the Sharpie marker. I colored it in with acrylic markers. I added a little bit of white gel pen and white acrylic paint to add the highlights. And now I have some glitter glue. This is Folk Art Glitterific, and you can just get whatever colors you want. They have lots of different colors. I'm playing with this pink right now. And I'm going to add it to her cheek. Hopefully you can see how sparkly that is, but it is so beautiful, especially when you're just playing with your own artwork. So much fun. Okay, I'm adding it to the side of her face, and I feel like her flowers need it too. Oops. And then I wonder if I'll just, ooh, I like that. I really feel like this Glitterific is an awesome addition to any artwork. Okay, so I added that. You know, one thing I didn't add was the gold, and I'm not sure I'm going to add any gold. I really like the way that this turned out, except for this one part that's going to bother me. And let's see if I can get the marker to fix this lady. Oh, her eye looks fine. It looked weird from the angle that I was looking at it. She's a sad lady. I don't know why. All right, so I think that's it. Should I add gold? Sometimes you need to step away and come back and decide whether or not you add gold. Maybe I'll do that. This is the final painting. I decided not to add the gold to it because I really liked the way the glitter looks. And this is just my own process for coloring in and shading faces. I'll do more of these. I really hope this helps anyone who's just practicing with shading faces. I know we see a lot of people doing perfect artwork out there, and it's beautiful and fantastic, and I love it. But maybe that's not what all of us are meant to do. Maybe some of us are meant to do just something different that's representative of us, and maybe it's just something that's unique to you. And so this is how I draw and shade faces. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment below. And I do have my YouTube membership. I'm going to be going live this month at the end of the month with a tutorial, and I hope you can join me. If not, no worries. I have many more videos coming out, and I'd love to hear from you in what you're interested in and what you'd like to see more videos on. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.